Perhaps you've spent the last year reflecting on yourself, making amends with all of the people in your life, volunteering, donating to causes that matter to you, and all in all becoming a better person. Or perhaps you've spent the past year narcissistically self-involved, doing just what feels right for you, regardless of what pain or havoc it wreaks in the lives of the people around you. At one level, it makes a huge difference how you've spent the last year. And at another level, it doesn't actually matter at all. If you've been virtuous and righteous and done all of the right things, your time on this earth will be limited and you one day will pass. And if you've been a wicked, horrible person, your time on this earth is limited and you one day will pass. This is the reality of being human, and it is in some ways a heartbreaking reality. This is what Rabbi Alan Liu of blessed memory is talking about when he writes, "Heartbreak is precisely the feeling that we have done our best, we have given it our all, but it hasn't been enough, not nearly enough. And this is what we mean when we say, God is close to the brokenhearted. And this is what we mean when we say, Ein banu ma'asim, we have no good deeds. This is what it says in Avinu Malkenu, that lovely song with the haunting, heartbreaking melody we love to sing so much on Rosh Hashanah. Avinu Malkenu, Chanenu v'anenu. Our Father, our King, be gracious to us, be gratuitously loving, and answer us, even though we don't deserve it. Ki ein banu ma'asim. For we have no good deeds to invoke in our own defense. There's nothing we can do that can guarantee we will get what we want. Once we absorb the absurdity of birth and the inevitability of death, we realize there is really nothing we can do about it. All of our deeds are limited at best. We have greatly overestimated our potency and our cleverness. We've overestimated the efficacy of our conscious efforts, and we've underestimated the unconscious havoc we wreak in our lives and the lives around us. Our attempts to do good are very small compared to the pain we inevitably cause every day. In order to really grow, we have to incorporate an awareness of our own ultimate powerlessness, our own inability to shape the outcomes we want on the things that really matter. We can't make our children what we want them to be. We can't make our parents what we want them to be. We can't make our spouses what we want them to be. Maybe, with tremendous effort and unbelievable luck, we can make ourselves a little closer to the people we want to be. This isn't nihilism. We can and should put in effort and make wise use of technology and learning and the resources human society has developed to make our lives on this earth better. But ultimately, our powers are limited. Science and technology, and I mean all of technology, not just the computers and the gadgets, language, philosophy, psychology, all human endeavors can do tremendous things to alleviate suffering, but they can't cure everything. This is a painful and in some way liberating truth. There are limits to what we can do for better and for worse. So here is my perhaps painful invitation to you. While Ellen chants Avinu Malkenu, I invite you to contemplate a desire you have, something real and deep, something that matters, hopes you have for your children, hopes you have for your parents, hopes you have for your own desires for partnership and connection. And sit for a moment with the painful reality that it might not work out the way you want. You might notice, as I do, an intense desire to fix, to change, to improve, to rail against the dark night and make things better. And that is a laudable impulse, but it has its limits. There's only so much we can do. We need to do all we can do and recognize there's a gap between what we can do and what we want to make happen. After Cantor Ellen leads us in the chanting of Unatana Tokef, we'll hear some thoughts and reflections on the blessings and limits of human power from BHA member David Ross. David is the chair of the Department of Art Practice of School for Visual Arts in Manhattan and lives here in Beacon with his wife Peggy.
Avinu Malkenu Chatanu lefanecha Bareinu mevarchenu En lanu melech ela ata Go aleinu meshamreinu Aseh imanu lema'an shemecha Dorshenu mefars naseinu Chadesh alenu shana tova Hodenu Moshienu Betel me aleinu Kol gezerot kashot Vatikenu mefaltenu Batel machashavot sonenu Avinu Malkenu Kotvenu b'sefer chaim tovim Avinu Malkenu Kotvenu b'sefer geula v'shua Avinu Malkenu Kotvenu b'sefer parnasa v'chalkala Avinu Malkenu Kotvenu b'sefer zchuyot Avinu Malkenu Kotvenu b'sefer selicha umchila Avinu Malkenu Chanenu v'anenu Avinu Malkenu Chanenu v'anenu Ki ein banu masim Aseh imanu Tzedakah v'chesed Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed V'hoshienu Avinu Malkenu Chanenu v'anenu Avinu Malkenu Chanenu v'anenu Ki ein banu masim Aseh imanu Tzedakah v'chesed Aseh imanu Tzedakah v'chesed
I have no interest in defying death. I don't find that as a failure of any kind. I'm just a biological organism, and I have X amount of time on the planet, and and I do what I can while I'm here for any number of reasons, including the fact that it's just what I do as an animal. I get up every day and I do things, and I have a moral perspective that comes from somewhere inside me, which is probably relates to the notion of tikkun, which is that I do believe that a good day is a day where I've repaired the world a little bit, and so I take that kind of approach to life. I don't think my power has to go any further than that. I think as a as a grain of sand in this giant universe, I have a completely reasonable understanding of what role my presence on Earth at this moment in time, in geological and cosmological time, means, which is just a little blip, a BB fired against the battleship of time. There's nothing. If we're really quiet, we can hear the ping of the BB bouncing off of the hull, but we're not quiet, so we basically don't even hear that sound of our little effort. There's a painter, her name is Agnes Martin. She was a wonderful minimalist painter, and I was once visiting her studio, and she made these paintings that were just straight lines, beautifully painted straight lines on a canvas. And she said, the happiest days of my life is when these paintings leave my studio and they have their own lives. And I thought, that's the way most parents should feel about their children. The happiest day is when they leave home and have full lives of their own. It means that you've made a good painting. You've made a good child. They have their own lives. They're not dependent on you for their life. They connect with you. They're still part of you, but you've launched them into the world, and now they have their own life. You've made a good painting. You don't measure success by box office. It's not how many imprints that picture made that means it's success. It may have a much easier to find impact on the world, but I'm someone who truly believes that the obscure artist, the obscure poet, the obscure musician who makes a work of art and leaves it to the world has done absolutely as much as the one who has found fame either in his or her lifetime or throughout through the magic of art history, has been discovered and whose work has been treasured and collected and conserved and shown generation after generation.